Welcome back, story lovers, to another episode of Right Now. In today's chapter, I'm going to take you through 5 tips for revising your story. So grab that coffee, we're diving in. So my first tip is going to be let the manuscript rest for at least a month, 2 if you can, but really put it away somewhere and just let it sit. What happens is if you write that first draft, beginning, middle, end, and then go right to revising it, you're going to be seeing a lot of what's in your mind from when you were writing that story instead of what's actually on the paper. What happens when you put it away for a month or 2 is you come back to it with fresh eyes because you've forgotten a lot of what's on that page. And so you're going to be picking up things like, oh, it says that, it reads like that, oh, this person's doing that, I forgot all about that, and you know what, that's not really what I wanted to come across on the page, or, you know, I thought that I put this point in the story, and you know what, now that I'm reading it after some distance, that's not really coming across on the page. I need to fix that. So my tip is put it away for a month or 2, let it rest, work on a different project in the meantime, and this can actually put you on a really good rotating schedule of your writing steps. You know, write a first draft, put it away for a month, and then during that month, work on a different first draft, and then when you put that one away for a month, you come back to the other one, and you just keep this thing going, and that can be a really effective and efficient writing process. So my second tip is going to be find a good reading partner. Fresh eyes on the page, much like the other tip where you're coming to your page with fresher eyes than what would have been if you had tried to revise right after writing that first draft. Having actual fresh eyes on your page, they're going to pick up things that you didn't pick up. This is why in workshop, for example, you know, you got 10, 12 people around a table all critiquing one story. Everybody's eyes are going to pick up different things in the story. One person picks up this issue, one person picks up a plot issue, one person picks up a consistency issue. And so by getting a reading partner, somebody that enjoys reading, that honestly wants to see you succeed, whether that be a friend that's not going to feed you any kind of BS, or another writer that you can trust, that you know, this is going to be a really good way to get honest, good feedback on your story so that you know what to look for when actually putting pen to paper on that revision. And this is actually one of the reasons why I really, really recommend finding a good reading group, or writing group rather, a workshop group. This is the case for if you're in college or grad school and you're taking writing classes and you get that workshop going. And a lot of the times the students that are in grad school or college, they're actually going to find groups outside of that classroom environment, whether it be with people that they meet from the program or other writer or reader friends that they know in general, and they form together groups so that they can help each other grow as writers. Trust me, if you do this, it's going to help immensely. So my third tip is going to be change your location and change your format. Now what I mean by this is, if you notice, for example, in this video, I'm in a different location than I was in the last video. Typically, I write at my desk, sitting down on the computer. So if I'm going to revise, one thing I might do is I might come into the dining room, or I might go into the living room, or I might go outside or to a coffee shop, and I will print out my story, grab some highlighters, grab a pencil, and just start marking up the page. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. But from computer to written form, from computer desk to dining room table, maybe from sitting to standing up, change the location, change the format, because this is going to force your eyes to looking at the story in new ways. And when it comes to revising, looking at your story in new ways is really what matters. If you're looking at it in the same way, you're probably going to see much of the same thing, and that's not going to help you in the long run. So tip number 4 is going to be outline your draft. So With the first draft, I tend to just write from the cuff. I don't really have too much of a structure in mind when I'm writing that first draft. I have a character in mind. I might have an ending in mind, sort of. But basically, I'm going to throw a character on the page. I have a scenario or an idea, and then I just throw trouble in their way and I see what happens. Now, that's the first draft. Going into the second draft, doing that revision process, this is where structure meets ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that first draft, I'm going to print it out, I'm going to take some highlighters, and I'm going to go through it line by line and say, you know what, these lines aren't working, this is where I need to add in this element. You know, I got this this climax at the end of the story, but it's not hinted at anywhere else in the story to really build up to it. So I'm gonna go through with my pencil and highlighters and go, blue highlight, insert here, building tension, insert here, a plot point, insert here, character dimensions. So, you know, this is where you really want to build out your story. And then from there, you take all of that material, you bring it back to your computer, to your notepad, whatever it is that you're writing on, and you pump out that second draft, but you take your time. Implement the changes, use the outline. Trust me, revising with an outline versus revising without an outline, with the outline is going to be much faster in the long run, even though it takes a little bit more time up front, because you have an idea of exactly what you're going to do when you actually do that second draft. Doing a second draft just off the cuff, I would not advise it, especially if you're a beginner writer, but even as an advanced writer, I really wouldn't recommend doing a second draft without an outline first. So my fifth tip, and I have a bonus tip coming up after this, so stay tuned for that. But my fifth tip is going to be use layers. One of the things that helps me immensely is not trying to revise everything at once. So I'll have that first draft, and then I'll go into doing my layouts, and I'll go through the manuscript and I'll mark down everywhere that I want to insert X. So let's say that my first layer that I want to put into there is going to be, let's say, details and setting descriptions. So I'll go through the manuscript and I'll figure out all the places where I want to insert details and setting and descriptions, maybe character descriptions, and mark that all up, take it back to the computer and implement all those changes. Then print that out and then go through it again and do my next layer. Maybe the next layer, I want to take care of plot points. Make sure all the plot points are really in order. And you do this for all your different layers. Now, the last layer that you really want to worry about is going to be grammar and syntax and things like that. You know, making sure that all the spelling is right. You don't really want to touch that until after you fixed everything else. Because if you fix that first, or you fix that earlier on in the layers, and then you add stuff or take stuff out, you're just going to have to do that over again at the end anyway. So save the grammar, save the syntax for the end, save the spelling for the end. Don't really worry about that until after you've fixed all of your other layers. And as promised, my bonus tip, perfection stinks. Trust me, when you're writing your story, the thing that's going to stop you the most is trying to get out that perfect story. It's, you know, I know that there's a tiny little thing that can be improved. I can fix this just a little bit. I'm not going to send it off to a publisher, because what if it gets published and then, oh no, I can improve it even more, but it's already published. Oh, what a no, trust me. It's not perfect. That's okay. No story is ever perfect anyway. Don't worry about perfection. Perfection is going to stop you from being successful. The amount of time it's going to take you to increase your story, this iota, from really good to perfect, if that was even accomplishable, is going to take way more time than it deserves. I would rather use that time for building another story and pop out 2 really good stories instead of 1 story that I think is maybe perfect. So I hope you liked this video. If so, comment down below and like this video, hit that subscribe button and smash that bell. and I will see you in the next video where we are going to talk about 10 beginning writer mistakes that you might be making. Till next time, story lovers.